Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Alicia with Coaching with Dr. Alicia, and today is week 2 of the book club, Healing Haven Book Club. And for our book club, I am reading How to Be an Adult in Relationships, the 5 Keys to Mindful Loving. And today I am going over the 5 keys to mindful loving. And those are attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. So those are the 5 keys that we're going to talk about today. Last week, we spent a great amount of time speaking about our needs being met in childhood, our needs not being met in childhood, and how that carries on into our relationships currently. So your current relationship and how you interact with a potential partner, your actual partner, and adults in your life right now has a lot to do with what you experienced growing up, how people related to you as a child growing up is related to how you as an adult relate to other people, because we are talking about how to be an adult in relationships. That was last week. What I'll do is I'll put the link to last week's show in the show notes. I'm not going to do it now because I'm live, but I will end up putting the link in there. You can go back and watch the very first recorded book club. I've been meeting with the book club for quite a while, but I am recording today's session with my Healing Haven VIP groups. Okay, so we're going to start on page 24, and we are actually going to cover the 5 keys to mindful loving, and what it all entails. So on page 24, he talks about David Richo. Hey, boys, how you doing? David Richo speaks about and writes his book on these 5 keys to mindful loving, okay? And those 5 keys are attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. And he says that when we looked for someone who could fit the bill better or more consistency, we then look for that. Whatever we received in childhood, we look for that in our current adult relationships, okay? And he says that we get to a point where eventually we need to access these resources from within us, okay? Instead of looking externally, sometimes we need to look internally so that we can pay attention to ourselves. We can have self-acceptance. We can appreciate who and what we are. We can provide affection to ourselves. We can love ourselves and allow ourselves in a lot of different ways. So he says the 5 A's begin as needs to be fulfilled by our parents, then become needs to be fulfilled by our partners, and someday become gifts that we give to others and to the world. So this is his sort of his discovery in this book, right? Because we are dialogical beings, our self-esteem emerges from contact with others who provide us with these 5 A's, right? The 5 A's are not extras. They're not, it ain't just about, well, you had a roof over your head and you had a place to sleep at night and your stomach was full and you were fed. It's not just about that. The love and attention and acceptance, these aren't extra things that children needed as adults. These are things we need, not want as human beings, right? So he says these are not extras. They are components of healthy, individuated ego. Attention from others leads to self-respect. Acceptance engenders a sense of inherently a good person. So when you were growing up as a child and you felt accepted for who and what you are, that not that you have grow up with a feeling of shame, but you grew up feeling accepted, that is when you inherently think that you're a good person. If you grew up with people say, what's wrong with you? Why'd you fall off your bike? What's wrong with you? Why didn't you get straight A's? Something wrong with you. You stupid. You ain't right. When you were told those things, that's not having the acceptance that you needed, right? Appreciation generates a sense of self-worth. Appreciation. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate you as a member of this family. That lets you know that you're worthy. Okay? And affection makes us feel lovable. Allowing gives us encouragement to pursue our own deepest needs, values, and wishes. So let me repeat that again. What the 5 A's are. Acceptance engenders a sense of being inherently a good person. Appreciation generates a sense of self-worth. Affection makes us feel lovable. Allowing gives us encouragement to pursue our own deepest needs, values, and wishes. When the 5 A's are not forthcoming, we might have felt that we were to blame. That's the thing. We don't look at these people who should have given that to us and say, what's wrong with you as a mother? You were supposed to accept me. You were supposed to encourage me. You were supposed to give me affection. You internalize that and say, what is wrong with me that my own mother didn't hug me? What's wrong with me that my own mother thinks that, I have to get straight A's and I'm not getting straight A's? What's wrong with me that I'm not, encouraged, or no one appreciates anything that I do? I don't have this appreciation. You don't look at that person as flawed. You look at yourself and you say, okay, what's wrong with me that my parents did not love me? So that's kind of what happens in the mind of a child. Children, we know this, people are, you're not perfect. We know parents don't get it right. But as children, the mind of a child internalizes those things and thinks there's something wrong with them. So we feel that we are to blame when we don't get it. That may leave us with a gnawing need to make reparation all our life. Such reparation is futile and misleading, since the true task is a foray into the world to find some of what is missing, and then to discover it is in ourselves too. So you are always searching for acceptance. You're always searching for affection. You're searching for someone to allow you to be who and what you are. You're searching and begging sometimes. I see people begging sometimes. Please accept me. Please love me. Please appreciate me. Because you want to be seen as a good person. You want to be seen as lovable. You need all these things. And what this book is saying is that it's gnawing at you. This is a need, not a want. This ain't something that you want to do. This is stuff that you need. We feel something is missing when we speak and do not receive attention, show ourselves and are not accepted, ask for love and are not held, or make a choice and are not allowed to pursue it. In contrast, when others grant us the 5 A's, we feel fulfilled and at ease with ourselves. An adult can unabashedly ask for the A's he needs, if not freely offered. He is only asking for what it takes to achieve the commencement of full humanness. All human beings really, really need to have this, in addition to food, clothing, shelter. It's all of these things that you need. Okay? Not enough money in the world can give someone this. Okay? So let's go on to the 5 A's. They go on in the book here about, parenting, biological parenting, adoption. It says, in addition, in an adult partnership, as in childhood, the expression of the 5 A's changes throughout the relationship. So it's different depending on how old you are. A mother allows attention differently to a 12-year-old than to a 1-year-old. So they're giving examples and illustrations of how you have to, as parents, adjust how we give our children the 5 A's as they go through the life cycle. Okay, so let's go and talk about what does attention mean. So today I do want to talk about the 5 A's. We are talking about the 5 keys to mindful loving, which is the 5 A's. And the first A is all about attention. Okay. Every mammal feels instinctively that it needs and deserves full parental attentiveness. I know that's true because I feel like it sometimes as a parent. Let me know if y'all feel this way. Any parents here, do you feel like your children are insatiable? No matter how much time and attention I spend with kids, it's never really enough. They're insatiable. I remember my son, he's 21 years old now. I remember when he was a toddler, he had this little guitar and he would write songs about me. Mom, this. He would write songs. He was obsessed with me as his parent, and it felt good, to be, to have children just totally be obsessed with their parents. But, eventually, relish in that, because eventually, right, you're not going to be their favorite person all the time. But it was really nice and interesting how children really need you, when they're younger. So it's so much attention the kids need. So, when a parent is only halfway attentive, the child notices and feels uneasy. So children are sensitive to just normal experience of not being able to pay attention to them. The mother leopard does not have her mind on her grooming while she is feeding her young, right? So the parenting process is encompassing. You're selfless when you're a parent sometimes, when you have to give attention because there's this little child that needs you for everything, right? Her single-minded attention gives them healthy priorities later in their own lives. A child's psyche life becomes confused if that child has to take care of a parent or make sense of a parent, because that is the reverse of what a child instinctively expects. The parentified child, children who grow up and have to parent their parent, leaves a hole in them because they need somebody to parent them. That's inherent. Children love rules. They love rules. They love being given boundaries. They love being parented. But to put a child in that position where they have to think about someone else and not themselves. So the egocentric style of a child is normal, completely normal for a child to not think of other people. Now, eventually they need to grow out of that. But a great foundation for children is to just, hey, don't worry about me. My kid's like, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing just fine. It's not my job to dump on them and to tell them, oh man, I had a hard day. Talk to my children as if they're my friend. No, I don't want to burden them with things that are on my mind. That's appropriate. You don't want, eventually when they get older, you can have other conversations with them. But you definitely want to make sure that you keep that parent-child boundary there so that they can get the attention that they need. It's nothing like an attention-starved child growing up, asking for people to pay attention to them because they did not get in the home what they needed to get in the home. And we have plenty of examples of people online, people in entertainment industry who really have to have people to pay attention to them, to look at them, to accept them. And not to say this is not the case for everybody, but that's the case for some people. Attention means attention to you means engaged focus on you. It means sensitivity to your needs and feelings. Did your parents pay at least as much attention to you as they did to the TV? Did your father notice and attend to your feelings and fears with the same care he showed his car? Did he ever concentrate on you for as long as he did on a ball game? You know, it's not that we need to have 100% all the time, 24-hour attention to our children, and children shouldn't expect that. But there should be time carved out where you just pay attention. And parents who have multiple children, I have a cousin who has 8 kids. I told her, I said, look, 8 children, and there's a set of twins in there. I said, you need to give a child a day of the week and just have that day be their day of the week so that you can pay attention to them and give them the attention, the love, and the care that they need. So I try to make my rounds in the house. I try to go from one child to the next and pay attention to them so that they know that I'm thinking about them. And that doesn't mean I give them everything they ask for. They don't get everything they want, but I'm at least paying attention to them and making sure that their needs are met. And the attention that I pay to the kids, that is a need that needs to be met. And I spend a lot of time on my phone, a lot of time doing my businesses and all this stuff, but I try to make sure that I carve out time so that I can give kids the attention that they need, although it's insatiable at times, right? Watching your every move, even if it comes from a desire to protect you, is not attention, but intrusive or surveillance. So it's not just sitting and watching them, it's interacting with them, right? Overprotectiveness is a rejection of your power and thus you. Authentic attention comes to you at any time, not just when you're present, when you present a problem. Such statement as children should be seen and not heard. Y'all know about that? Anybody in here? What do y'all think? Should children just be seen and not heard? Anybody want to comment on that? Angel, Akina, Dr. Vibe, how you doing? How y'all doing? Should children be seen and not heard? Well, what do you think? My father turned to me as if he had been waiting all his life to hear my question. Wow. Says a character in that says, was I listened to like that? Did I matter that way? Dr. Vibe grew up, children should be seen, not heard. Okay, so you grew up with that. Children should be seen and not heard. Okay, let's think about that, right? If we missed out on attention when we were children, we might have learned to attend to ourselves, to become more and more creative, to look for attention from adults other than our parents. Yeah, so you miss out on attention. And I think it's really interesting when I always wonder about that when children who misbehave, they become very creative. I think sometimes children who don't get the attention that they feel like they need it, and they have this hole deep down within them, it's like, okay, I'm being a really good child, obedient. No one's paying attention to me. But if I start acting up and people turn and give me attention, then somehow that feeds negative behavior sometime in children. I know you guys have heard this, right? Where children who are neglected or are ignored, and the kids have this need for someone to look at them and pay attention to them, sometimes they'll act out. Well, that is what this is saying. You know, they will look for creative ways. If children don't get the attention that they need, they become more and more creative, okay? To look for attention from adults and they look for attention from other adults. So what they might do is they might just find somebody. I need to find somebody to pay attention to me. My parents aren't paying attention to me. I'm going to go and find other adults, somebody to pay attention to me. Okay. In this way, a deficiency becomes something beneficial, the pothole that becomes the portal. Likewise, our ability to reach out as adults may be directly proportional to our recognition that what we needed in our childhood was not there to be had. Seeing that deficiency in the past will help us see it in a present relationship and not keep looking for something we need in a container that is empty. Yeah, a container that is empty. It's like, I'm lonely. I don't know how to fill this up. I wish I had somebody to pay attention to me, to spend time with me, to go places with me. This feeling of lonely, and it's insatiable. Attentiveness means noticing and hearing someone's words, feelings, and experiences. In a moment of authentic attention, we feel that we are deeply and truly understood in what we feel, say, or do, and in who we are, with nothing left out. Someone attuned to us mirrors us. We are noticed, acknowledged, heard. Someone gets us. And I mean, this is honestly, even in adult relationships, when I work with couples, I highly encourage couples to do that. Put the phone down. Put the phone down, turn the TV off. There should be, every single day, the people who are important to you, you really should just give them your undivided attention. That is the most respect that you can give to someone, is your undivided attention, and not listening so that you can respond, but listening so that you can understand where that person is coming from, how their day was, an experience they had from them. That is the keys to connection. It's nothing like talking to somebody and you're sharing something really personal with them, and then the first thing they do is go grab their phone and go look at their phone. What was that? I can't even pay attention to what it is. And, this is something that I intentionally try to do with the people in my family. Every child, I tell them, look, when you get home from work, I will even carve out time in my day. I'm lucky that I can do that, where I can carve out time on a day where I know when the kids are coming home, the window of when they're coming home. I don't book any clients during that time. I make sure I don't have meetings scheduled during that time. I make sure that to the best of my ability, carve out time so that I can spend time with the people in my family that are important to me. They have my undivided attention, and it feels good. And this is not a want. This is a need. I want to keep reiterating that. People need others who care about them and who love them to pay attention to them. Okay. All right. Okay. Likewise, we can attune to others' feelings, needs, bodily reaction, comfort levels with closeness and degrees of willingness. For example, whether someone is acting out of coercion or compliance rather than true concurrence. Right. It's not like they have to do it. Oh, I feel okay. What is it? You have to feel like, I cannot wait to talk to you today. There has to be some, excitement about it. It's not like it's a burden on someone to pay attention, right? Paying attention. Let's see what else. We cannot attune if we assume certain feelings are right and others are wrong. It's not judging. Attuning to someone is not judging, because if you're thinking, oh, what you said was wrong and what you said was right, you're arguing how they feel, that person doesn't feel heard. That person doesn't feel like you're really paying attention to them. So it's so important that you do that. To attune to someone, we need neutrality toward all feelings, moods, and inner states. Precisely the fearless openness and mindfulness and heartfulness. Only with such pure and deep attention can we see beyond his bravado to his terror, beyond his stolidity, and his turmoil. This is how attention becomes compassion. So it's more than just sitting there nodding. Part of it is not judging, not telling them that don't make no sense. It's not putting your opinions and thoughts into it. Paying attention to someone is just being with them in their experiences and what they share with you in that moment. So that's what attention means. Attuned attention creates an ever-widening zone of trust and safety. That's how you build trust and safety. And when you build trust and safety in other people, that means you were given trust and safety. If you grew up where people were attuned to you and they paid attention to you, they gave you the attention that you felt that you needed, that means you grow up with a healthy sense of trust and a healthy sense of safety. And I do find that with a lot of the couples that I work with, if that piece was missing for them, if they felt ignored or neglected, it's really difficult for them to provide trust and safety in their current relationship, because they don't understand sometimes what it's like. And that doesn't mean that the relationship is doomed. It just means that that's just an area where you just need to work on it. People can change. People know better and people do better. And so, practice this with your significant other. Practice this with people who are important to you. Practice actually attuning and listening to them, because this will give you the trust and safety that you need. This is healing. Okay. Let's see, where did I start? What did I do? Okay, I'll just continue on. The first A is the core of mindfulness. Attention means bringing something or someone into focus so it is no longer blurred by the projection of your own ego. We're not being defensive. We're not projecting things onto people. You're not even hearing what the other person is saying because you're projecting your own stuff onto someone else. We're not doing those things. It is true mindfulness, right? Those beliefs or biases can endure for years. Okay, so a parent or a partner who knows you only in a superficial way may only be meeting up with her own beliefs about you, not who you are, right? Okay, the real you is an abundant potential, not a list of traits, and intimacy can only happen when you are always expanding in others' hearts, not pigeonholed in their minds. Our identity is like a kaleidoscope. With each turn, we reset it not to a former or a final state, but to a new one that reflects the here and now position of the pieces we have to work with. The design is always new because the shifts are continual. That is what makes kaleidoscopes and us so appealing and beautiful. Parents and partners who give us attention love to see the evolving mandala of us. I love this because essentially, our potential as human beings, we can become and be anything we want to be. And we need to start seeing ourselves that way, and we need to start seeing our children that way. You can become and be anything. So putting a box around people is oppressive. Just think about how Black people are treated. Think about the stereotypes of Black women. There's nothing horrible about interacting with the world, and they can't see the kaleidoscope of all of who you are. They only see you in this narrow way that's marketed to us, right? The stereotypes of Black women. Do y'all know what those are? I think Dr. Vibe, do you know what those are? The stereotypes of, I can talk about the stereotypes of Black men, but I'd rather have men, talk about themselves. But the stereotypes of Black women, one of it is the mammy stereotype. It's the whore or sapphire stereotype, the angry Black woman stereotype. All of those stereotypes pigeonholes you and puts you in the box, when in reality, we're everything. We're a kaleidoscope of who and what we are. And when we start judging and we start putting our own intentions, our own thoughts onto our children, instead of listening to what they want to be, we want our children to become what we want them to become, right? They don't feel heard. So this is really a good reminder that any and everything that's possible in this world, any one of us can become. The kaleidoscope of that. Okay. The desire for attention is not a desire for an audience, but for a listener, because an audience is superficial, right? I'm not here on YouTube because I want attention. I get a lot of love and attention from my family offline, right? I'm here so that I can teach, right? And I can try to heal people, right? So I just I'm letting you know that it's the listener, it's not the audience. Attention means focusing on you with respect, not with contempt or ridicule. When you are given attention, your intuitions are treated as if they matter. You are taken seriously. You are given credit when it's due. Your feelings have such high value to those who love you that they are on the lookout for them. They even look for the feelings you are afraid to know and gently inquire whether you want to show them. When others give you attention, they also confront you directly when they are displeased. They are harboring no secret or anger or grudges, but they always do this with respect and a sincere desire to keep the lines of communication open. Attention, like the other four A's, is giving in a trusting atmosphere of holding. People are not ever going to truly feel that they are heard and listened to when it's a hostile environment. You have to create an environment with your children and with your partner where they have a space where they feel comfortable. Now, mind you, I still have to parent my kids. So I still have to say, you need to clean your room, you need to do the dishes, you need to do this. And I'm like running down, what's up with your grades? Why'd you forget your backpack? What's going on? So we still have to do, and I have to talk to my husband about, okay, we need to go to the mall. We have to go grocery shopping. Let's figure out what we're going to do. I know we got to catch an airplane. What's happening? I mean, so conversations like that is normal. There's the business of running a family, the business of running a business. All of these things need to be taken care of. But aside from that, that's not attention. Aside from that, has to be time where we can carve out, where we can say, okay, what's going on with you? Talk to me about your day. Really? What? What's going on with you? Even my daughter comes home, she has a smile on her face. I'm like, uh-oh, what happened today? I see the smile on your face. Or she's sad about something. What happened today? Just listening and not teaching. And I know as parents, we have such a hard time doing this because parents really want to preach. They want to preach, they want to teach, they want to do. And there's a space, there's a time and a place from that. But let's carve out some time for full attention, mindfulness. Easy said than done. But that's our challenge today. We're going to learn how to be mindful today. Okay, so the first A is attention. I think we know what that is, right? Attention. And I love Dr. Vibe's stereotypes of Black women, Mammy, Sapphire, angry Black woman, and you can't remember, I think it's welfare queen or gold digger. I think that's the fourth one. That is oppressive, right? It's a kaleidoscope of we are everything. We can be any and everything. So let's keep that in mind. Attention. And I think the biggest thing to understand is that no matter if you were neglected as you were a child, or if you feel like people didn't pay attention to you the way they were supposed to, today is the day where we can incorporate attention into our life, where you can go back and you can say, hey, let's do this thing called attention. I'm going to pay attention to you for a half hour. You pay attention to me for a half hour. And let's do this where we can share our experiences with each other and we're not going to judge. How about we do that? So that's my challenge for you all, is to give all of the people that you care about attention. If you haven't been able to do it up until today, June 30th, or whenever you're watching this video, let's go ahead and incorporate attention into our lives. And it may be awkward at first if you're not used to, if you didn't get the attention you felt like you needed, it may be awkward, but it may be awkward, but at least you can try and it'll become more regular. And I think this is how we heal the world. Heal the world one family at a time. Let's give each other the attention. Giving someone attention is giving them respect. And acknowledging their humanness of who and what they are. No judging. Okay. So let's go through acceptance. Acceptance is number 2. In Buddhism, there is such a touching phrase, the glance of mercy. This refers to looking at another human being with acceptance and understanding. Acceptance means we are received respectfully with all our feelings, choices, and personal traits, and supported through them. This makes us feel safe about knowing and giving ourselves to others. Our ability to be intimate grows in accordance with how safe we feel. Safety. And that safety is based primarily on how authentically we are accepted in early life. But even after we grow up, moments and months of acceptance by other adults can fill in some of what we may have missed as children, so that intimacy is still an option for all of us. As with all the 5 A's, it is never too late to find acceptance or learn to show it. So he's saying that acceptance is something that is required for intimacy, and it includes grace of mercy. That means acceptance in spite of all your flaws. You're not going to get it right. It's just accepting. Oh, wow. You did this. I spent this whole weekend with my daughter in her dance competition, right? And, she did a wonderful job dancing in the nationals, right? And, some were better than others. It wasn't quite perfect, but, it's acceptance. I love her effort and how hard she worked, right? If we lacked acceptance in childhood, we might have felt ashamed or inadequate, but we also might have compensated for the lack in a positive way by finding a center of evaluation in ourselves, thus becoming less dependent on others' approval. So now as adults, we are swayed by neither criticism nor flattery. We learned early on to ground our self-worth in the depths of our own psyche. This not only builds our self-esteem, but also makes it easier for us to accept others, since we are not trying to get something from them. It's authentic. That's what it means. Authenticity. Appreciate them as they are. How much my parents missed out on when they could not let this happen between us, right? To accept their children, parents must be free of preconceived plans or agendas for them. These parental representations can begin before birth and range from this will be a boy to this baby will be a spark plug in our marriage. He will make it work. Or this girl will do what I couldn't do. There's so many parents who do this with their children. They just live vicariously through them. And it's okay to do that as long as you know that that's what you're doing. Sometimes I laugh. I'm like, wow, my mom never put me in dance class, but I sure would have loved to have been a dancer. And I acknowledge that in myself. It's not like I'm unconsciously doing this, right? I acknowledge that in myself. So I'm always checking in. Like, is dance still something you want to do? If not, it's okay. I will love you anyway. You could be in dance or not be in dance. I still accept you as a person, right? Sometimes I don't accept the behavior of some of my kids. Now that's a totally different thing and I have to discipline them, but I accept them as an individual, as a person. So we got to differentiate between that, right? Accepting them as a person versus accepting their behavior, which sometimes isn't right. But you do have to be mindful. Are you living vicariously through your children? And sometimes if you are, some children can be very angry. because they have desires in them. I mean, we give, they're little creations of us. So how could we not want them to be us, work for our business and carry on this legacy? But maybe they're born to be something totally different. And so you can encourage them and influence them. But ultimately, you need to be able to accept who and what they are, even if they're diverse. I know parents who have children who are part of the LGBT group. There's a loss there. I talked to a lot of parents in my office about that. And they say, I always thought my son would grow up and marry a woman and have children and all of this, and this heterosexual norm, and the loss that a lot of parents experience when their children don't turn out in terms of their sexuality. They turn out different from how it was. It's Angie T. Hey, Angie. I was just at a dance recital and the little girl cried the entire time. Yeah. So thank you, Angie. Is that child really there because they want to be, or is that child there because their mama pushed them on stage and made them be there? But that's a good point. So you have to be able to accept them, right? And talking about dance, the men who do dance, you can tell they're part of they're little boys. They're like maybe 14, 15, but you can tell that, some of them were dancing and they were part of the LGBT population. And they got up there and they looked like they were just, I said, you know what? I was telling Dr. Boyce, I said, Boyce, look at him up there dancing. He is on cloud nine. There is no place else he'd rather be than to be up there dancing. And I loved it because I love that the parent was encouraging to support their child, their son, to get up and do those turns and spins and leaps and leotards and to do these things that is a typically feminine sort of activity, and that boys are getting into it a little more and becoming who and what they are. They look like they were the happiest people in the world. And we know that sometimes people can say really mean things to children who aren't part of the norm. So it was beautiful to see that at the dance nationals. Okay, so we're talking about acceptance, right? Acceptance. Okay, so now he's given the difference between our first one was attention and our second one was acceptance. So he's saying, in attention, you are heard and noticed. In acceptance, you are embraced as worthy, not compared to your siblings, but trusted, empowered, understood, and fully approved of as you are in your uniqueness. You sense a kindly support of your path, no matter how unusual of your feelings, no matter how disturbing of your deficiencies, no matter how irritating. These are not only tolerated, but encouraged and cherished. You are perfectly you, and that is enough. Rather than expecting you to meet a standard, an arbitrary standard that parents put on their children. Oh boy, no matter how different you may be from them or how divergent from their wishes. Yes, there really are people who love like this. Did your parents believe in you? Did they come through for you? Did your parents come through for you? Were they reliable? Did they stand up for you? Did they stand up for you? If someone else in the family said something terrible to you, or anybody did something terrible to you, did your parents stand up for you? Did they refuse to give up on you no matter what? The psychoanalyst Heinz Kohut, I love Kohut, by the way. Kohut was a badass. Heinz Kohut wrote, the more secure a person is regarding his own acceptability, the more certain his sense of who he is, and the more safely internalized his system of values, the more self-confidently and effectively will he be able to offer his love without undue feelings of rejection and humiliation. Okay, so what they're saying with acceptance is so tied to self-worth. And I'm going to tell you right now, we see this a lot. Why people stay in toxic relationships. They don't feel worthy to be in healthy ones. We see this today. Why people enter into organizations that don't make them feel valued, and they don't feel like they're worthy of anything better. Just because you have desires of what you want to be, and you're stuck by the fear because you don't even feel worthy enough for it. So that's where that comes from, not feeling accepted. So when you see people and you're looking at them and you're like, she could do better than that. He could do way better than that. You're looking at them and you can see it, but they can't see it. That has to do with not feeling accepted. Okay. Lastly, before we wrap up here, gradually in any relationship, we see our partner's limitations as our partner sees ours. Now, you know what? Let's just call it the way it is. That is normal. It is so normal to fall in love with your partner and you think that person is so perfect and you put them up on a pedestal, and then eventually, I say about 12 months to 18 months, you start seeing their limitations. That's normal in relationships. But acceptance, and I think I know where he's going. Acceptance means loving them despite their limitations. But let's see what they say. Loving means holding each other's deficits with mindfulness, of course, right? That is without judgment or criticism. So you don't criticize somebody when they have limitations. I have limitations. I don't want to be criticized for it. I'm going to be mad at you. Don't be criticizing my limitations. It's who and what I am. I can't measure up in some ways. And I acknowledge it. I'm doing the best that I can, right? And if I do something I always tell my husband, I'm not perfect. If I do something to hurt your feelings, just tell me. I will apologize because I want to make sure that everything is okay with you. I don't know. I can't read your mind. You have to tell me. I'm working on being psychic, but I haven't quite gotten that down just yet. Okay. We hold them also with heart, loving one another just as we are, with limits to acknowledge and with gifts to appreciate. This combination is true acceptance. As a special benefit to us, when we align our expectations to the limitations of the other, we save ourselves from continual disappointment. That's just how that person is. And there's some point in your relationship where you're just going to have to look at it and go, okay, so this person has wonderful qualities. This person has limitations. I have wonderful qualities and I have limitations. And you have to make the decision, I'm going to love this person anyway. That doesn't mean loving someone who's abusive to you or mistreats you. That's just saying that all of us are a work in progress and we need to give each other the acceptance. And if it ever gets to the point where you feel like you've had enough, where the relationship doesn't work for you, it could be, I can love you from afar. I accept you, but I wish you well. So I think we'll stop here. Today, I think that's our challenge. Our challenge is to give our loved ones, and I'm going to reread this part, inattention. Give each other attention. You are heard and noticed. The people that you love, carve out time to give them attention. No phones, no distractions. It could be 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Give them the attention that they need. Heard and noticed. No judging. Second thing is acceptance. That means you are embraced as worthy, not comparing to anybody. Don't be comparing your kids to the other siblings. Don't even compare your partner to another person, right? Accepting them for who and what they are. approving of you as you are in your uniqueness. So with that, everybody, we will end on page 30. And we went through attention and acceptance. And next time we meet, we're going to talk about appreciation and affection. But that's my challenge for you all today. Attention and acceptance. That's what we're going to give to everybody. Try to do it this week. This is how we heal the world. By everybody you come in contact with, no matter what, everybody you come in contact with, be sure to give them the attention and the acceptance that they require in their full humanness, right? And then we'll come back next Sunday. I got nothing going on Sunday. We'll come back next Sunday and we'll pick up from there. And of course, if you want to work with me, you can contact me here, coachingwithdralicia.com. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye.